at the end. If you ever ask me about that, I'll tell you how that cost me.
Well, if we're here right now, how did it cost you?
Well, okay, man. Crazy deal. I'm over the event. Goodrich is my corner guy. We're in the Tokyo Dome. The event's at the Tokyo Dome.
Yes, sir.
And they throw me Matt Skelton, who's like a European champion boxer.
Mhm.
So, okay, this is a boxer. And Goodrich, when he kind of heard about this fight, he goes, oh, they're giving you one. This is a gift. It's Christmas. It's Christmas. You know how Gary is. So I'm like, okay, I'll take the fight. So in the Tokyo Dome, this place is so big. We're in it's kind of in the baseball stuff. We're in one of the dugouts. And what they did it to us is we took a car and drove around to the back of the Tokyo Dome to come back in, because if you know anything about Pride, they have incredible theatrics and stuff like that to ring entrances and stuff. So we drove all the way around to the back because we came in through center field. They split the screen, the ramp came out, we walked down, pyrotechnics going off, all kinds of great stuff, right? But anyway, when we went back there, we went to a staging area. And that's where you did your final warm-up and stuff like that, and they checked you. Well, when I'm back there, Gary disappears for just a short period. I'm like, damn, where'd this dude go? So he comes back to me and he goes, hey, Tom. He goes, I just talked to somebody, you know. We're not going to say who, but I talked to somebody. He's like, they want you to stand with them. I'm like, what do you mean? They want you to stand with them. I'm like, why would I? I go, what do you mean? He goes, they want you to stand. I'm like, okay, I am standing. He goes, no, they want you to fight standing up. The whole fight, stand up. Don't take them down. They want you to stand. I'm like, what? I'm like, dude, I ain't standing with this dude. He's going to knock my head off. You know, and maybe, I don't know. I mean, this dude's a boxer. Why am I going to stand? You know, we saw how my Shayna Briggs fight went. So and I'm like, dude, what do you mean? What? And so he's like, I go, so then the kind of light bulb went off to me. It's like, you know, I'm not going to go conspiratorial, say how they fix fights. Would that been a fix? Borderline, but kind of. But, you know, I'm going to fight him his way. If he just said, oh, make him wrestle me, it'd be different. But so I'm like, okay, what do I do? You know, what do you want me to do? You know, I'm kind of serious now because I know I'm in Japan. We know who runs Pride, right?
Yep.
I mean, without saying, I mean, your listeners are pretty intelligent. They know who runs Pride. So I'm like, what do you want me to do? He goes, man, do what you got to do. You just fuck them up, man. Just do what you got to do. And I'm like, okay. So, boom, it was good. Went down there, really cool. I mean, all of 53,000 people. I mean, that's a lot of folks in for a fight. Go out there. So I hit a shot right away. He kind of sprawls. I slide into it, kind of get him in a little helicopter, throw him to his back. And then he's in. I think I'm half mounted or mounted, and I'm kind of fighting his hand. I'm trying to get and create space so I can punch. He's hanging in there. So instead of kind of a forearm against the neck and creating space, I kind of put my hand across his throat. And I'm posturing off. Well, look, dude, even a kindergartner in jiu-jitsu knows if I create some space there's an easy armbar, kick the leg over, I'm screwed, etc. But I'm fighting a boxer. So I put my hand up on his throat and I'm going to create space. I'm pushing off, and all of a sudden he goes, I'm like, oh, snap. So, of course, what am I going to do? I'm going to clamp down hard, push down on his neck a little harder, and boom, lo and behold, he taps. So if you watch that fight, I kind of hit him with a little throw, bounce him, kind of mount, throw a little half punches, try to create space, and then you can see I push up on his throat, and he taps. He's like, what the heck? He want none of that. So win that fight, man. We're all excited. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm in the moment, dude. 53,000 people, ooh, especially Japan. Walk back, and one of the first things, I had some representation over in Japan. They're like, Tom-san, what did you do? I'm like, uh-oh. I'm like, oh, I won, but it was a really guarded. And then it wasn't talked about, but it's like, what did you do? And I'm like, okay. And Goodrich, man, he's just great. I mean, you saw him at the event. You kind of Google it. So I go back in there, and it's like, Tom-san, what did you do? You were supposed to stand. I'm like, oh, okay. But not a whole lot they could do to me, so to speak, because one, I just won. I'm a big dude, and lots of people around, blah, blah, blah. So, and I wasn't even thinking this at the time. I kind of reflected back on it. I'm like, damn, that dude's going to ice me outside or something. But so no, I didn't, boom, didn't stand with the guy. Well, lo and behold, I didn't have a fight for a while. No fights for a while. So I'm at Gary's next fight because I'm working his corner. So they
Okay.
didn't kind of kick me out, but I don't hear from him. I'm at Gary's next fight. And I'm in the Olympic Stadium in Tokyo. It's an outdoor stadium. That's the one where Inoki parachuted in. I don't know if people know that
Yeah.
history and stuff like that, but a big deal. Bob Sapp fought Nogueira because Nogueira was in our locker room. I think Klokop was in our locker room, et cetera. So I kind of hand fought with those guys and messed with those guys, helped those guys get ready. And they come in, the K1 people come in, some Pride people come in, my manager comes in, Tom-san, we come in here, we had to fit you for gloves. I'm like, what are you talking about? So they're fitting me with boxing gloves. Your next fight, K1. I'm like, what? Oh, okay. Contract, Thomas. And then my guy's like, hey, this is your contract. Okay, you want to take the fight. You could deny it. You could say no.
Mm-hmm.
But it's money. I mean, I was contracted to make X a fight, et cetera. I have this many fights, X a fight, and stuff like that. Well, what they did is they basically said, look, you don't have to fight over here anymore, or you have to fight K1. You want to get paid, you're going to fight K1. So, boom. They fitted me for gloves. I had to fight K1. And I fought Hirama Amada in Bob Sapp's little event because Bob Sapp was huge at that time over there. And he was like the coach of this squad, Magnificent Seven, that we fought in there. So because I didn't stand with this guy, guess what? Tom had to fight K1 now. So that was their way of punishing me and making me fight stand-up over in Japan because they had my contract. And if I wanted to fight over in Japan, I was going to fight their way or I wasn't going to fight at all. So when I say that kind of screwed me, that's how I screwed myself. If I had stood with them, I could have been like Coleman maybe. And we know how the Coleman Takada story is. If you don't know that, Coleman, whatever. I'm not even going to guess. You have to get him on, ask him, whatever, but make him say it. But Coleman fought Takada and Takada beat Coleman. Right. But so, yeah, that's how I screwed myself. Long story.